Hey there, hi, and welcome to another episode of Sit and Spin with me, your host, Joe. And before we get into the show proper, I want to take a moment to thank the Black Moods, who were the featured artists last week. The guys shared last week's video episode, which was great, and because of that, viewership on that episode increased tenfold overnight, which was awesome, brought a lot of new fans to the page, so thanks, Black Moods, you guys truly rock. But with no further ado, let's get to this week's featured artist, which would be Spoon and their new album, They Want My Soul. As promised, a couple episodes back, we did the Vinyl Gratification EP. We were talking about this little project that Spoon had with a new upcoming album, where basically you pre-order the album, you got the free EP, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, back then we said when the new album came out, we'd give it a full review. So, They Want My Soul is now out. It is the band's 8th studio album, their first in 4 years, and their first on new label Loma Vista Recordings. Of course, the indie rock band out of Austin, Texas, comprised of Britt Daniel on vocals, guitar, and he's also the main songwriter. Jim Eno on drums, Rob Pope on bass, keyboards, guitar, and backing vocals. Eric Harvey on guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals. And new member Alex Fischel on keyboards, guitar, and we'll get more on Alex in a little bit. They were formed in 1993 by Daniel and Eno, signed to Matador Records in 1995 to release their first album, Telefono, which gave them a good stepping stone up. In 1998, they signed with Elektra Records and made their bid for the majors and released their first major label album, Series of Sneaks. And there is I'm not going to go into it, it's too long, but there is a much publicized long story about what happened there. But the short of it is that when they signed to Elektra, it was with a guy named Ron Lafitte. And 4 months after the album came out, they were dropped from the label. Lafitte kind of left his job and left them hanging in the lurch, and there's songs written about it on the album series. You can check them out. Go research it. It's too long to get into here, but it's a pretty cool story nonetheless. Then, in 2000, the band signed with Merge Records, which has pretty much been their home ever since, up until recently. And they released a series of EPs and albums over the years, including Love Ways, Girls Can Tell, Kill the Moonlight, Give Me Fiction, Ga 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 Ga, and their last album, Transference, all of which have made my top albums of the year list that I put out every year. All great records. So very much been looking forward to They Want My Soul, especially since Transference, while still a good record, was the first album to me where it kind of seemed like a little stagnation maybe set in, like maybe they were kind of running out of ideas. They did what they did extremely well, but it was kind of like, okay, I've heard this, what else can you bring to the table? And apparently I wasn't the only one feeling that way. The guys in the band were feeling that way too, so they took several years off after Transference, because they were all feeling kind of burned out. They all kind of wanted to do their own thing. Some of the other band members wanted to play with other bands, put out their own little separate projects, produce other bands. Lead member Britt Daniel got together with Dan Bachner and Dan Bachner of Wolf Parade and Sam Brown of New Bomb Turks and put out the excellent Divine Fits project. And this was in 2012. This was one of my top 3 albums of 2012. Great record. And definitely did exactly what Britt was hoping it would do. It kind of reinvigorated him, and so that when Spoon got back together again, they would have something new to say, bring more to the table. And that is exactly what has happened with They Want My Soul. It kind of is the natural progression from the Divine Fits album and where they had left off with Transference. And they got back together, started working on this album in 2013 with Joe Ciccarelli, and those sessions were going pretty well. They felt like there was some good stuff coming together there, but still weren't quite getting it. And then they got a chance to work with Dave Fridman, who's a noted producer, also used to be a member of the band Mercury Rev. He's produced people such as the Old Man Mercury Rev, The Flaming Lips, OK Go, Tame Impala, Management. It is a long list of people he's worked with. He's got a very kind of distinctive style that kind of incorporates distortion and compression and just pushing things to the max. And you can definitely hear that on this album. He recorded some of the tracks are still Ciccarelli stuff. The other tracks are stuff they recorded to him, and then he 2 tracks aside, he kind of went back and remixed all the other stuff. But it's really great stuff. It's exactly what I was hoping a new Spoon record would be. Everything I loved about the band before is still there. Plus, Alex Fischel brings in some new oral colors to the palette. And before, the band had they dabbled in keyboards, but usually it was straight up either piano or organ. But Fischel stuff, they bring in generally much more synths and beats and electronic washes, and you can hear them all throughout the album. It's great from start to finish. It's really not a bad song on the record. The last track you just heard, Do You, is the first single off the album, but great tunes, Rent I Pay and Inside Out, which were on the Vinyl Gratification EP, really good. I really like Outlier a lot. Definitely is a good indication of like what Vishal brings to the band. Definitely not the type of thing you've heard on a Spoon record before, but it really works really well. The title track is one of my favorites on the album. I like Let Me Be Mine, which is kind of a jaunty, more rocking cousin to I Summon You off the band's Gimme Fiction album, which is one of my all-time favorite Spoon songs. They do a cover of I Just Don't Understand, it's an Anne Margaret tune. And the last song on the album, New York Kiss, is co-written by Dan Wilson, who we covered on the show several episodes back. Go look it up if you haven't had a chance to watch it. But Spoon! Back with a new album, They Want My Soul. I, of course, got it on vinyl because, you know, I like vinyl, and Spoon sounds great on vinyl. The traditional version, comes in two versions, is on this lovely white vinyl, and I'm a sucker for colored vinyl, but not so much of a sucker that I bought the deluxe vinyl version, which came with a glow-in-the-dark cover, and it came on glow-in-the-dark translucent blue vinyl, just because it was like 10 or 12 bucks more, and I'm willing to pay more for more music, but these days I'm not willing to pay more for a gimmick. Cool idea, can't fault it, but, you know, things being what they are, I gotta save my cash. That extra 10 bucks I can buy a CD copy of the album, but you don't really need to because it comes with a download card too, and you can just earn your own CD copy with that. But so psyched, Spoon are back with a new album, They Want My Soul. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. So check it out, and we will catch you next time on Sit and Spin. Hopefully next week I will have possibly another one of my favorite bands, of modern bands of the decade past, that's putting out a new release. If not, there's a lot of other groovy new stuff coming out and a couple of cool reissues. So we'll get to all of them then, and we'll see you next time on Sit and Spin. Hopefully you're checking out my good friend Scott over at Righteous Vinyl, as well as the guys at the Riff a Day, and we'll catch you next time on Sit and Spin. See you then.